Over 20 years ago, Chris Moneymaker, an amateur poker player at the time, shocked the poker world by winning the main event in Las Vegas, Nevada. About 20 years later, Chris started the Moneymaker Tour, and just about a year and a half ago, I traveled to Daytona Beach to play with him on stream, and I even got an interview. Well, the Moneymaker Tour has made its way down to South Florida to the Casino at Dania Beach, and today I'm playing the one-day $600 main event for over $20,000 for first place. I late-reg this tournament in level number 4, 40,000 starting stack, 30-minute levels, and before I'm able to even get my camera set up, I'm in the early position and I pick up pocket queens, my very first hand. I raised a 3x and then a late position player goes all in for 10,000 chips. I hurry up and try to get my camera ready. I make the call and I'm up against pocket fives for over a 20,000 chip pot. Flop is 10 high, we just got a fade of 5, and we do to take down over 10,000 chips, plus the big blind and the small blind and the big blind ante. I would say that's a pretty good start to the day. I end up going a little card dead over the next 30 minutes, and then I finally pick up ace-9 offsuit in late position. I raise, c-bet the flop, take this one down, and pick up some chips. I've been noticing that the table has been playing pretty fit or fold, so I get pretty out of line here in the cutoff and raise queen 6 offsuit. The button was actually away from the table, so I'm technically the button here. The big blind makes the call. I end up checking back a jack 8-5 2-spade board, and on the 4 of spades turn, picking up a flush draw and a straight draw, the big blind leads out for 1,500. I think I'm getting a pretty good price here to call, drawing towards a straight draw and a flush draw heads up. So I make the call. River cards to 4 of spades. My opponent checks to me. I'm fine with checking back my 6-high flush, and I end up losing to queen 7 offsuit with the queen of spades. Finally picking up something playable here in early position. I have king queen offsuit. I raised to 2,000 chips. I end up getting 3 callers, 4 ways to a queen high board with a flush draw as well. Everyone checks to me. I bet pretty big here. I bet 5,000, thinking I'm going to get called by all worse queen X hands, some 10x hands, and all straight draws and flush draws. Big blind makes the call on the turn, 3 of spades, bringing in the flush. I think once he checks to me, I could bet small, but I would hate to get check raised here, even though I don't think he would be bluffing very often. I think I'm just going to pot control and try to get to the river. Final cards is 7 of clubs. This brings in a couple more straights and maybe some 2 pairs. So when he checks to me, I'm fine with checking this one back, and I win up against jack 9 offsuit for jack high. We take down a small to medium pot here. This is going to be the king queen offsuit video. Again, king of hearts, queen of spades. I raise from early position now, just a min raise, 1,600. I get 3 callers again. 4 ways to a queen, 7 for board, 2 hearts. I flop top pair, good kicker. Small blind checks, and now the big blind leads out for 2,000. I think I could go either way, just calling or raising, and on this board I think I like a raise better. I can get called by all worse queen X hands, get called by all flush draws, and maybe even some combo draws as well. So I bump it right up here to 7,000. Now a later position player is in the tank. I raise from early position and he just called. It is possible he could have hands like ace queen, maybe pocket 7s, maybe pocket 4s. I'm guessing when he's thinking here, he probably has some sort of straight draw, maybe flush draw, or maybe a queen 9, queen 10 hand. Eventually the cutoff player folds, small blind folds, and the big blind comes along with a call. Turn 3 of diamonds, this does bring in 5-6 for a straight, where heads up my opponent checks over to me. One mistake that I made in the past in tournaments is I just slow played a little bit too much, try to get a little tricky like I might do in deeper stacked cash games, but in tournaments it's just better to bet your hand and win the pot. Don't let your opponent catch up 20% of the time or 15% of the time. These chips matter so much more than they do in a cash game when you can just rebuy. So I bet 12,000 here. Pretty big bet. My opponent folds. He most likely had a flush draw, possibly a worse queen X hand, but either way, chips are moving in our direction. For the 3rd time this level, I pick up, what is it? King, queen, offsuit again. I told you guys, king, queen, offsuit vlog. This time there's a raise and a call. I just call here in the small blind instead of 3-betting. I think calling with this hand is fine out of position against players who do not fold pre-flop, and also players who will be calling with weaker kings and queen X hands that we have dominated. Unfortunately, we do not hit anything on this board. It comes out ace high, and I check fold the flop. What is one hand better than king queen? How about ace king? There's a raise to 2,000. I re-raise to 8,000 in later position, and then an ace and a 9 is exposed pre-flop. I'm not sure if someone had that hand or 2 extra cards were exposed, but those are one of my outs, unfortunately. The flop comes out jack 5-2 with no flush draw. I look over at my opponent's stack, and he's got around 25,000. I don't think I'm going to hit an ace or a king because I already missed his flop. I think I just want to apply max pressure and take down this pot. It's already pretty big, so I put him all in for around 25K, and he snap folds. I swear, the very next hand, I pick up ace-king suited this time, a monster. I mean, I'm not going to complain, but I kind of wish I could save these monsters for later on in the tournament, maybe closer to the money bubble, or possibly the final table, or maybe even heads up, but I guess I'll take it now. I raise to 2,000, big blind calls. We go heads up here in position to an all-spade board. He checks, I check. Turn is a 4th spade. He bets, and I fold. A few orbits later, I raise from under the gun to 2,000. You guessed it, king, queen again. King of clubs, queen of diamonds. Now folds all the way to the small blind, who is sitting rather short with around 5,000 in his stack, or maybe a little bit less, and he makes the call. Big blind folds, and we're going heads up in position to a queen high board. I glance over again. Looks like he's got about 3K left, so I put him all in with my top pair, and he snap calls with a pair and a straight draw with Jack 10.
Turn them up, turn them up. No further action.
Well, first unlucky turn of events on the day. My opponent put it in with a pair and a straight draw. He did have a decent amount of outs. His 2 pair outs were no good, though. Would have given me a straight, and I ended up doubling him up for around a 10 big blind pot. Just a few hands later, I'm in the small blind. It folds all the way to me, and I peel back pocket aces. Of course, pocket aces, no action. In fear of my opponent folding if I raise, I just limp the small blind. He checks his option, and we go heads up out of position to ace 9-9. I flop top boat. Okay, gonna be hard to get some money out of this hand. I check, and he checks back. Turn card's a 5. I'm going to bet super tiny here. I just bet 1 big blind, $1,200 to go, and my opponent makes a snap call. I think he has a hand he is not looking to fold, so when the river card comes in offsuit 7, I'm going to go big over the pot size bet, and I settle on a 10,000 chip bet. My opponent makes the call very quickly, and we get paid off here with pocket aces when he folds a 5 shows, meaning that he must have called me super light there with a 5 on an ace 9-9, 5-7 board, and just like that, we get our money back from that king-queen hand. I've officially made it to the second break of the day and doubled my starting stack around 80K in front of me. Now I go over to the Moneymaker Tour merchandise booth, and they got some Moneymaker coffee and some hats, some sweatshirts, and some t-shirts to buy as well. All right, guys, we are on the second break here. I have around 80,000 chips, 2x starting stack. I sat down here with Tony Burns, and we're going to go over some upcoming events for the Moneymaker Tour. You guys are traveling around the States, and then also out of the States as well. Give the guys a little bit of info on the upcoming events you guys are having.
So glad to have you here.
Yep.
Dania Beach, first time here. We did 4 one-day events, crushed every guarantee on every one. We're well over the $50,000 guarantee now. After this, I got a little personal time off with family. Going to go up to Hard Rock, Cincinnati. It's not a Moneymaker event, but we have an event usually in September with them.
Okay.
They asked me to come up there. So Cincinnati Poker Open, that is going to be March 18th to the 30th. So if you're in the Midwest, come on through Hard Rock, Cincinnati. Back to the Moneymaker Tour, April 2nd through the 14th. We'll be at the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. 21 trophy events, over $500,000 in guarantees there. And then we're getting ready to announce later today, because this video is coming out on Wednesday, we're going to be at MGM National Harbor, April 22nd through the 28th. Excited to be there.
Yeah, it's a great room. I've been there multiple times. My brother used to live in that area. Room's amazing, like a lot of space. It should be great for you guys.
I've heard amazing things about it. So we're going to be there for a week.
Okay.
12 trophy events, over $400,000 in guarantees.
Wow, okay.
After that, we'll come back down to South Florida. We'll be at the Palm Beach Kennel Club April 30th through May 13th.
Okay.
Still finalizing that schedule with their TD.
Yep.
And then we're off to Canada, heading to Montreal Playground, which they just got nominated Global Poker Index Card Room of the Year.
Wow.
So,
Good
excited
stuff.
to be there. I've never been to Canada. I've never been to Montreal.
Never been to Canada?
No. I worked with the Expos for a couple of years here in Florida, but never went to Montreal.
Okay.
So
First time Moneymaker Tour is going to Canada too.
First time to Canada. We had one other international stop, that was Aruba, back in September, October. But so we're adding the international flavor to our events, and then after that, I got a couple of pending things leading up to the WSOP, and then we're hopeful to lock down MGM Grand.
So coming up, basically Daytona Beach, Kennel Club, Cincinnati, Aruba, Montreal.
Yeah, we're all over the place. MoneymakerPT.com. It's MoneymakerPokerTour.com. Our schedule's there. I know we went over a lot, but all the stuff's there.
I have about 5 minutes left on my break. I am going to get back to the table. Hopefully we can run deep. It's a one-day event. We'll see how late it's going to go. Hopefully I can make it to the final table.
I think 3 a.m.
We'll see. I think I need some moneymaker coffee if I make it past that time.
All right,
Sounds good.
good luck.
All right, let's go. Back to the felt now after the break. I go card dead for a little bit until picking up a beauty. Ace, queen of spades under the gun. I min-raise here to 4,000 chips. Folds all the way to the small blind who makes a call, and the big blind makes a call. Both these players seem pretty confident, feel like they know what they're doing. Doesn't seem like they're getting too out of line. When the flop comes out, ace, king, 6, rainbow, I think I'm going to be way ahead or way behind on this board, and most likely I'm going to be way ahead. My opponent shouldn't have hands like aces, kings, or ace-king for 2 pairs and sets. Really, the only hand I'm worried about here is ace-6 and pocket sixes. With that being said, I size smaller on this board. I make it 5,000. The small blind calls very quickly. I think it's possible he could have an ace. The big blind comes along with a call as well. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm still ahead. The turn card is one of the worst cards in the deck. It's a jack. Now brings in 2 pairs like king-jack, ace-jack, and queen-10 for a straight. When it checks to me multi-way against these players, I think I just want to do a little pot control. I know I said I shouldn't be pot controlling, but on this turn, I don't really like it, so I check back. River cards is 7. If the action checks to me, I will be putting out a smaller bet here, trying to get called by a weaker ace, ace-10, maybe a hand like that, but that doesn't happen. Small blind now leads out for 9,000. It's less than 1/3 size of the pot. If the big blind folds, I'll be snap calling. If the big blind calls, maybe I'll think about it, but I'll probably most likely be calling as well. However, that does not happen. The big blind now raises to 20,000. I make a super quick snap fold because there's just no way I'm ever good versus this player type. This is a middle-aged woman who hasn't gotten out of lines for the 4 hours that I've been here. I know that she's never bluffing in this situation. And the small blind play is pretty strong as well, betting into 2 people on this river. The small blind tanks for a while. I'm expecting him to call pretty quickly given the fact that it's basically only a min-raise, but he keeps saying to himself, there's just no way you're bluffing here. You must have me beat. Pocket sixes, queen 10. He tanks and tanks and tanks, and he folded what he said was ace-jack for 2 pair, and then the big blind later on said she had ace-7 for a river 2 pair, but a worse 2 pair than the small blind. Not sure if the small blind was lying or not, but I'm almost positive the big blind had ace-7, so pretty sick hand there, and end up losing around 10K in this hand. After that ace-queen hand going around the blinds a few times and the blinds going up, I am now left with less than 20 big blinds. I'm somewhat in the danger zone now. I have around 18 big blinds behind. Before looking down at ace-jack offsuit from under the gun, I raise to 5,000 and min-raise. I get 1 call from a late position player and a call from the big blind as well. We're going 3 ways to queen 8-2 rainbow. I completely miss on this board, but I also feel like my opponents could potentially miss as well. It's very dry and unconnected. There really shouldn't be any 2 pairs they can have, and only 2 sets, pocket 8s and pocket deuces with how this hand is played out pre-flop. I also block ace-queen and queen-jack. So I think I'm going to c-bet here. Maybe this is a mistake to c-bet here multi-way with a hand with basically 0 equity. I just make it 4,000, thinking I could possibly get out smaller pocket pairs like 4s and 5s and 6s. I can also get hands to fold that may have some equity against me. Unfortunately, the late position player makes a call. Turn card's a 5. I'm going to shut this one down and check. He puts out a 9,000 chip bet, and I fold. After losing that hand and going through the big blind ante, and the small blind, I'm on the button. I'm in that push fold territory around 10 big blinds. There's a cutoff raise to 6,000, hoping for something big. Nope, don't get it. It's queen 3 offsuit. Now, a few hands later, I do pick up a hand worth shoving. Ace 10 of spades, a beautiful hand here, middle position. I go all in for around 10 big blinds. I'm okay with everybody folding here and just taking down 4.5 bigs without even seeing a flop, but that doesn't happen. Action now on the small blind, who raises to over 30,000. Big blind gets out of the way, and I see that I am dominated up against ace-king offsuit. Ace-10 against ace-king. My tournament life is on the line. The flop does come out ace-high, giving me top pair, but I'm extremely outkicked. I need to hit a 10, and I bink it on the turn. Got to fade a king or a queen, and I do. I double up here late in the day. 10 big blinds turns into around 25 big blinds. A nice little suck out there with around 50,000 chips in my stack. I also get my very first $25,000 tournament chip as well. I make it to my third break of the day. Late registration has officially closed. After the break, I get moved over to another table that looks pretty deep. Some big stacks here and a couple familiar faces. The prize pool also gets posted here. $83,000 in the prize pool. 159 entries for $24,000. First place. That's pretty good for a one-day $600 event, only 20 minutes away from my house. Let's see if we can spin it up and possibly win that $25K. There's an under-the-gun limp and then a late position player who limps. Queen Jack of diamonds for me. I think this is a great shoving hand, so I go all in here, putting pressure on those limpers, just looking to take down this dead money out of the small blind, out of the big blind, and out of the two limpers. The under-the-gun limper actually thinks for a little bit of time and gets a count, which I do not like. I'm hoping he didn't limp with a hand like aces, kings, and queens. Luckily, he ends up folding, and the cutoff folds, and I take down all this dead money without even seeing a flop. Because I spend around 99.5% of my poker hours playing deep stacked cash games, I'm really not well versed on this short stack play. I just kind of go with my gut in these sort of situations, or maybe what I've learned or seen from the past. With around 16 big blinds in my stack, there's a hijack raise by a player who has seemed to be pretty active at the table. King-queen offsuit for me, 16 bigs, hijack versus button. I think I want to be aggressive here and go all in. I could potentially get him to fold out some weaker aces, and I also could be flipping against some pocket pairs and maybe even dominating hands like king-jack or queen-jack suited. So I go all in here for 16 bigs. Back over to the hijack. Who makes a call? He's got ace-jack. We got to get lucky to stay alive. We are out. It's 9 p.m. I'm hungry, so I go with one of my friends to Timpano on Las Olas, one of my favorite places to eat in downtown Fort Lauderdale. After this, I head up to Timber, which is a brand new restaurant here. If you go inside, up the staircase and to the left, you can see they have a pretty cool speakeasy lounge with some dope music, some nice vibe lighting, some good drinks, and they also have an interesting sand art maze thing here where this marble goes around in a circle and makes some cool designs. After Timber, I head down to my favorite place to end the night, Italy. This place is open late. They got some good music, good lighting, and they host my favorite drink, a chocolate martini. I could house about 4 of these in an hour if I really wanted to. The next day I wake up and head to the beach because why not? It's 75, sunny, not a cloud in sight, and then talk to you guys. All right, guys, that is it for this one, doing the outro here at the beach. It's a perfect day, like 76 degrees, Fort Lauderdale Beach. Water temperature is a little cold, but still refreshing. Ended up busting out of the Moneymaker Tour $600 main event, King Queen versus Ace Jack. I started off good, ended up having 2x starting stack to start off there, but then just kind of dwindled down. Lost Ace Queen, lost a couple other hands, did double up with Ace 10 to Ace King, then eventually going out King Queen to Ace Jack, and that is it for us. But a pretty cool structure, I will say. Being able to walk in and then just win $25,000 within 12 hours is pretty cool. I feel like that's a cool structure and maybe will be used more in the future. The one-day event is just, I feel like, more intriguing for regular folks, like trying to make people come back for day 2s and then maybe day 3s. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of time, so I feel like these one days are pretty cool. Big shout out to Tony Burns, Moneymaker Tour, and then also Casino at Dania Beach. First time filming there and it went great. The staff is awesome, the dealers were great, everything ran super smooth there, so definitely a good time there. Just wish I could have ran a little bit deeper. Wish I could have made that final table. Unfortunately, got a little bit cut short, but hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be back in about a week or 2 with more videos. And until next time, I'll see you. My name is Lex. I have a channel on YouTube, Lex O Poker. I travel across the country. I make poker vlogs, playing cash games, tournaments, live streams. And today I'm here at the casino at Dania Beach, playing a $600 Moneymaker Tour main event. Hopefully can try to make it later on to the final table tonight. That's the goal. I think my favorite video, let me think here, probably one of the bigger cash games I played, like at in LA, Hustler Casino Live. I played a huge cash game where I played the biggest pot of my entire life. I think it was over $70,000. I hit a set versus pocket aces and
doubled up massive pot for me. I think that was my favorite video just to produce and put out, just because it was such a big moment for me as well. I think it's definitely changing the game for sure. I mean, like 20 years ago, we never had YouTubers, TikTokers, Instagram people, and it's just completely transformed, I guess, the way people take in poker. I mean, we used to watch maybe on ESPN every now and then. Now you can go on YouTube and watch a ton of shorts and videos and vlogs, live streams, and it's just completely transformed the game. I do think the future is going to be more of like shorter form content, probably quick, that people can watch for 30 seconds or a minute and then move on to the next thing. That kind of seems like maybe the future, in my opinion, of what content is in poker.